Okay, there we are. Hey, everybody. I'm Nikki. This is Hannah. We're
Hello.
Crimes and Cocktails. As you can see, my normal host is not here tonight. So this will be my beautiful stand-in. This is Miss Hannah Buck. Um, Hannah is actually Elaine's daughter that we were talking about on the last show. And tonight's show is going to be in honor of a very special woman. Um, my wonderful co-host. And Hannah lost Elaine's mom and Hannah's grandma yesterday. So she actually, couldn't be here with us tonight. But in honor of that, we are going to do what Miss Cheryl could do best, and that is talk. Because that woman could talk. And instead of our normal where I make a drink and I tell you all about it, I'm just going to tell you it's been a rough couple of days. So we're just going to wing it and say tonight's cocktail is show you how much we're winging it. Hold on, guys. My cocktail of the night isn't a McDonald's cup, y'all. Like, I am drinking um, Crown and Diet Coke. So it's very not normal for me. Mix it to how you like it. That's what I did. There'll be no special cocktails tonight. We really don't have it together here today. Um, but with that being said, everybody sit down, kick up your feet, and enjoy this cocktail hour with us while we dive into a case that is actually, believe it or not, the longest standing Amber Alert in the entire state of Mississippi. It's actually one of the longest standing Amber Alerts in the country, believe it or not. Um, 2-year-old Myra Lewis. She actually went missing here in Mississippi. These things make my head itch. I hate wearing them, so we're gonna not tonight. But she actually went missing here in Madison, Mississippi. Um, she is 2 years old. She was the child of Erica and Gregory Lewis. Um, her home was in Camden, Mississippi, and the timeline of events on this are fucking weird. First off, would you leave a 2-year-old in the yard and hope they went inside?
No.
Mom did. So here is how this crazy story actually started. Um, one of our viewers says I need to adjust this camera. Okay. Sorry, one of the viewers says we have to adjust the camera. We're working on it. It's been a long day, guys. Okay, like we're struggling today. Oh, I don't like that. And that makes it blurry. I don't have my makeup on, hardly anything. Okay. So, anyways, sorry, a little distracted. Like I said, normally we're way more put together. Today is just the day. Like, I don't have my life together at all. I'm not even lying to you. I'm like hugging my pillow and just hoping to make it through the next 24 hours of our lives. But anyways, so on March the 1st of 2014, Erica Lewis says that she's going to go to the grocery store. Dad is in the house with one of the younger, with the infant. They had an infant at the time. And so Dad is in the house with the infant. Now, all accounts say that Myra is playing outside with her other sibling. No, I can't find anything that said how old the other sibling was. It's really crazy to me. But Mom's like, oh, I have to go to the grocery store. So she tells a 2-year-old, hey, go in the house, find your dad. And just leaves. So she's at the store for, I don't know, I guess like 2 or 3 hours before she comes back home. So like they live in a super rural area. And like Camden is like super country, right? She's got like 3 hours. She comes home. Mom and Dad both realize Dad don't have the kid, Mom don't have the kid. So Dad assumes that Mom took Myra to the store with her. Mom assumes Myra goes in the house to Dad. So she's already on a longer timeline because she's obviously missing for an amount of hours before it's noticed. What I don't understand is this is okay. So from the beginning, this whole case kind of was just like wonky, and I have printed out some of this stuff. But it was already listed as suspicious activity by the Madison County Sheriff's Department. That was on the scene. They said, okay, this is like listed as an odd case. It's very suspicious. And I actually did like an image search of the area. It took me forever to find the address, but I actually found their address and I did an image search of the area. There's nothing. It's trees and like one road. It's like this long Mountain Program Road runs for miles, but there's nothing. There's not a gas station. There's not a store. There's not even a Dollar General. Can you believe that? I mean, seriously, there's nothing, okay, at all. So you have a 2-hour window, 3-hour window. Your kid's missing. It's a 2-year-old. How far is a 2-year-old going to get in 3 years? I don't know. I don't think that a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old is going to get miles. Yeah, like she's not going to make it 6 miles into town. You know, wander into the woods. There's a pond on the property. So, like, I did some digging to figure out, and they did actually, they dug the pond, they dredged it, but they brought in heavy equipment and dug the area on the property, which makes anything, obviously, they really did suspect something. But let's start from the beginning. So, you tell a 2-year-old to go inside. Do you trust a 2-year-old to go inside? I know I wouldn't. And at 2 years old, my dad would have been like, take your wives in the house. Then I'll leave. But no, like they just left this little. So then the grandma lives next door. The dad says, "Oh God!" Like they noticed that she's missing now 3 hours, and the timeline on this is just wild. So the 11 a.m. she's playing with her sister. Myra and her sister are outside in the front yard. It is assumed that is when she went missing. And then at 3 o'clock, so from 11 to 3, her parents realized that she. Y'all have cell phones. This is 2014. This isn't 1984. This is 2014. You didn't think to text each other and be like, hey, how are the kids? Or, hey, did Myra come in the house? Hey, did you take Myra to the store? You didn't think of any of those things. Y'all find that odd. How often does your mom leave you? And you're 18. How often does your mom leave you and not like check?
She always texts.
Exactly.
Like maybe a few hours. Still checks in.
And you're a girl. You're 18 years old. Like, you're talking about a 2-year-old. When Skylar was 2, did your mom just like, no, well, I'm your kids were inside?
No.
No. It doesn't make any sense. There's absolutely zero sense of any of the things. So, at 3 o'clock, you have 11, 12, 1, 2, 2, 3. Feel like a 4-hour span in here. It could have been up to 5. This is just a generated possible time. So they're like, oh goodness, our kid's missing. Shucks. So dad says he gets on his 4-wheeler and he takes the family dogs. And he rides his 4-wheeler around the property. And rode next door to grandma. And was like, hey grandma, is she here? It is literally here about their church. Then they contact the sheriff's department. I'm sorry, if my 2-year-old is missing, I hope everybody knows we're going to burn the world. Like, it's about to be some shit. So then all of a sudden, like, we get the search party in. Like, we contact the sheriff's department, yada, yada, yada. They said that all the family was interviewed. And they did remove a family car from the scene, but there was nothing found. So then they set up a perimeter. They searched, I don't remember how many square miles they searched this entire time for this little girl. And when I say, like, she vanished into thin air, there's no trace. The dogs never picked up a scent. Nothing. It's like she just walked off and everybody's seen her heard from again. So here's what makes it so crazy. The only reason I got into this one is we have this timeline. It doesn't make sense how you would just like leave your kid, you know, and be like, nah, maybe they went inside. But then the reward is up to $20,000. Actually, come to find out, then so in the process of all this, the mom's arrested. goes to jail. Oh, they're in our life. That's lovely. I don't know what happened. Look, we're having all kinds of technical difficulties. If you know,
I want this plugged up.
like, well, not even that. Like, between all of this crazy weather we've had in this wonderful state of Mississippi at this point, just we're winging it, guys. Okay, tonight is just not a normal night. Like, normally we were way more put together, but here we are. We end up like in this other, so we're getting like further into the timeline, and I'm actually going to bring in a friend of mine who is going to sit here along with me and Hannah, and he's kind of going to jump in and help me out tonight because, quite frankly, like I said, this is just not a normal show. We're not on our normal wavelength, and he's actually one of the people that's in charge of helping make this show and make us do what we do and enjoy it. So I'm going to bring in this one. I'm going to bring in a good and hopefully we're going to go for today because, like I said, we're having technical difficulties. So now that I've kind of given you a summary of what's going on and what we're doing, I'm going to let Jimmy come in because I'm pretty sure he's going to have questions just like we all do. And I love to have different opinions. So I would like everybody to welcome my wonderful friend, Mr. World Famous Jimmy. Hey, honey. Where'd you go? What's going on?
Looks like we're both having some issues today.
All right. But we're going to try.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you at all. This is turning into be like, y'all, I promise you, normally we're not this bad. Normally we're a little bit more put together. This is just, we're struggling today. And I'm just not sure what to do with it.
Give me a second. Can you hear me?
Are you muted?
Okay, hold on a minute. Oh.
I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you. Okay, well, we're going to try to figure out how we're going to get Jimmy back up here in just a second. It's probably something on my end. Okay, plug that back in here. Guys, I'm telling you, if you judge it by tonight, like, just understand, this is the Hot Mess Express right here. You're seeing exactly how insane things can get.
There.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear anything out of those speakers, or this one for that matter. And while we work on trying to figure out all these settings, look, I don't do the tech side. Okay, that's other people's job. I do the talking because I can talk for days. But I'm gonna continue to drink my Corona Diet Coke and we're gonna enjoy it. So now this happened in 2014. We're in 2023. We are almost 10 years into this little girl missing, and we still don't know shit. We don't know any detail. But here's where things get really crazy. So we have a $20,000 reward out for this kid. Parents are just weird. Mom ends up getting arrested. The house is condemned that they're living in. So, like, it's, I mean, I would say a complete shit show. The family
can you hear me now?
is missing, was taken in. Nothing was found in it. And I like always had questions like, why did they feel like taking that? Like, they obviously know something. This is a suspicious activity. Like, it's a suspicious disappearance. They know something that they have yet to release to the public. And for whatever reason, they're not. Randy Tucker, the Madison County Sheriff, said that as long as there's a breath in him, this case will never be cold. He has searched for that little girl on his personal time, like not just whenever he was on duty. I mean, he's gone out there and he's driven every inch of that place. He's walked it. He's searched for this little girl high and low, just like all the search teams have. And Randy Tucker actually gave an interview not too long ago talking about the circumstances. I mean, they brought bulldozers out to dig up the property, which makes me wonder, why were we digging up the property? Like, what did you think? Because I personally believe that they think the parents did something to this little girl. I do. And I don't believe for 2 seconds that she was kidnapped on a rural road in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Mississippi. Like, I don't believe that. I just don't buy it. I don't believe this little girl is outside in her front yard in Camden, Mississippi. When I say like miles away from the nearest town, and you just happen to be in the neighborhood and decide to snatch this kid, no, come on. I would believe that she was a kidnapping or a kidnapped child if we were in Jackson and you left your kid in the front yard. But this, I don't buy that this was a kidnapping. I genuinely don't. They did. I believe they either did something to that little girl or something accidentally happened and they panicked and they covered it up. I mean, they brought canine, like they brought all the canine units out to search for her. But here's the thing. The family moved. 3 months after their kid goes missing, the family moves. Mom and dad pack up and completely desert the house. If Skylar was missing, would you pack up? Would you help your mom and Carl pack up and leave?
No.
Exactly. As a parent, do you think that if Xander was missing, I'd be like, well, fuck it, guys, let's go, dog? No. 3 months after your child goes missing, there's a $20,000 reward. You just up and move along. The fuck? And not only did you up and move, left no forwarding information, no phone calls, no check-ins, has not contacted the sheriff's department at all. No calls to be like, is there any information on my kid's case? Riddle me with it, because I have quite a few of them.
What if the mom accidentally ran her over and they're trying to cover it up? Like, they didn't see her.
But here's the thing, though. If it's an accident, that's my thing. I've thought and wondered that one, because that would be, you thought she went inside, she was behind the car.
That would see her.
But what did you do with her? I mean, legitimately, what did you do with her? They've dug the property. They've dredged this pond. They dredged the pond like once or twice. I know at least once, but I think it was like twice. So like, I just don't buy that your child is missing and she's 2 years old and you just fucking move away. You know something in order for you to have enough peace of mind to up and pack up and leave. You have to. And of course, tips came in from all over the place. You know, they put all these Amber Alerts out, and it was all these, like, you know, oh, I think I saw her I think one was in Memphis. There was huge investigation into that. It wasn't her. But all these leads and tips that came in on the Crime Stoppers or on the Amber Alert, none of them led to anything. It was literally like this child just woke up on March the 1st and at 11:15 just thin air. Just, it doesn't work that way. Especially a 2-year-old in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. I don't care who you are. Like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Not only does that part not make sense, but as parents, you just up and leave. And like the house is completely condemned. Like nobody's been back to that house. I mean, I've pulled up aerial footage of it and I actually drove out there. And you can't, like, it's so grown up. Like you can tell nobody's been there in probably 8 years. 5, 7, 8 years. So you just, and the thing is, like, the Clarion Ledger did a story. It was like 8 years after Myra's disappearance. They were going to run a story on her. The families were contacted and they refused to even talk to them. You don't care that your kid's missing, or you know where your kid is and she's not missing. Just saying. Seems a little suspicious to me.
They could have asked somebody to come get her.
Who would you trust in that situation, though? Think about that. That is a hell of a situation. Who are you going to trust enough to be like, I need you to come get my kid's body?
I mean, I really genuinely.
No, not her body, but they asked somebody to come get her and keep her because they didn't want her anymore.
That's a good logic. Well, then why would you call the cops and report her missing?
Some people are like that.
I mean, it's a good. It's not.
Some people are that weird.
That would be the only word to use. Would be fucking weird. I mean,
I've heard of somebody murdering somebody, hiding the body, doing all this other crap, and then they call the cops.
I mean, I guess, but like that would be no offense. And I'm not, by no means am I going to say, please don't cancel us tomorrow. But am I saying that I'm going to like off somebody? I mean, maybe I probably have. People might think I would. But like, I'm not saying that I am, or I'm not going to. But I'm not going to off somebody and then call the cops on myself. Or I'm not going to like kidnap my own child and then call the cops on myself. Or I don't know, hide my husband's body and then call the cops and tell them that my rug got blood on it. Like, I don't know. These are all insane things. I'm not saying they didn't, and it does happen. And it is all logical, and it makes perfect sense when you think about it. But don't you think after all these years, somebody would come forward and be like, hey, I've got the kid. She's not missing. They just gave her away. And why would you pick that one? You had like 2 other kids. So you're like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? I mean, you had a 1-month-old baby in the house, and the sibling that apparently is older than Myra, and then Myra. So, like, did you eeny, meeny, miny, mo between your 3 kids? Did you pick this is the one you didn't like today? It just doesn't add up to me. Like, I want to know what store did she go to? I want to know if there's video surveillance, because I don't know if mom ever left the house. I've thought about that too. I don't know if the mom ever left the house. Think about that. 3 hours is a big timeline. 4 hours is a big timeline to hide a body or dispose of someone, especially a child. Who do we even know that the mom left the house?
Nope.
Because I've yet to find where they have proof of video surveillance, and there's not a store around here that doesn't have cameras. Even if they're being recorded by a potato, you still have cameras. I've not found it. So we don't know if mom even left the house. We know that mom was arrested. We know that mom went to jail. Mom spent time in jail on past charges while they were in the process of all this. There was drugs in the house. The house was condemned. I mean, what conditions? DHS actually took the kids. What condition did you have these children living in to begin with? Was Myra malnourished? Did you starve her to death? I mean, I have questions. I have lots of questions.
Did Myra get a hold of the drugs that they had in the house?
That is a logical question.
Did she go in the house when they weren't paying attention? Did she find the drugs? Did she take them? Did she OD? And did they have the body?
And they panicked and didn't know what to do. So had the body call the cops, say she's missing. This is the problem. You're talking about a 10-year-long Amber Alert. By now, let's be honest. You have canines out. You've dredged lakes. You've dug up property. You've checked family vehicles. You've done all these things. And there's not one single trace that's out of place. Like, of course, the dogs are going to hit on the car. She's been in the car. Of course, the dogs are going to hit in the house. She's been in the house. But when you got out on the property and they're searching the woods in this rural area, no hits. Well, if she wandered off, that the dogs would have picked up on it. And it was in March. During the day, it's warm. At night, it's cold. She was last seen wearing khakis and like little khaki shorts and a t-shirt. So she wasn't dressed for any elements of the weather. And it's not blistering cold, but it's still not warm. So she would, realistically, had she wandered off during the day, by nighttime, she would have been hungry. She would have been cold. She would have been crying. You would have heard her voice carry through woods. If I go out there and yell at you through the woods, you'll hear me. You would have heard a baby crying. These people searched. I mean, they had people on the ground for I don't know how many square miles, and nothing. You can find a missing shoe. Like it doesn't work for me. And for the dad to be like, "Well, I thought her mom took her," and the mom's like, "Well, I thought her dad had her." Like, at no point in Xander's entire life have I not known where my child was, or who he was with, or who he's doing it with. It doesn't make sense. And then you get into, the dad's like, "Oh, I searched." Where did you search? Where did you search? They didn't issue an Amber Alert for her until the 3rd. So an Amber Alert wasn't even issued until March 3rd for Myra. She was missing on March 1st. The authorities are alerted about between 3 and 4. Amber Alert's not issued until March 3rd. But the sheriffs automatically said, this was suspicious from the beginning. And then all of these news articles that I found later on, where I've read them every time they're run, but they ran, I mean, these are just a few of them, just a few of them. And they've run them and tried to contact the parents and say, "Hey, do you want to do an interview? Let's talk about your child. Let's try to bring light to it again. Let's try to find your kid." They've refused to talk to him the whole time. Somebody knows what happened to this little girl. Without a doubt, somebody knows. Whether it's mom and dad, whether it's mom, somebody knows. The only picture that they produced was, I wish I had, actually have a copy of it somewhere. I'm looking for it. It's this super blurry picture, and it's the only picture they could produce of her. It's the worst picture. So it's almost like they were "Here you go, here's your picture, put it out there." It was very nonchalant the way that it was handled. Mom and grandma did an interview. I remember when she went missing, and I remember seeing it on the news. And even the interviews that the family gave was just fucking weird, dude. There was no emotion. The grandma was I mean, she was a really good kid. We'd like for her to come home. My grandma is 84 years old. I am an adult. If I was missing, that woman would be beating up people with wooden spoons. You gonna tell me where my baby's at? And I'm a big ass grown woman, not grandma. Grandma was I mean, we'd like her to come home. Tell me that don't sound suspicious as fuck. It's just not. And dad's playing video games looking after a 1-month-old. You didn't think to get up. My next question, where is the other kid? Because they never mentioned in any of these the other sibling that she was playing with. This baby Myra was last seen wearing a turquoise sweater with a bear on the front, off-white khaki shorts, and pink tennis shoes. That's a pretty good description of her clothing. If somebody snatched her, they would have changed her clothes within 24 hours, obviously. Wouldn't we have found remnants of car tracks, or maybe they threw her shoes out one on the road, or clothes, something? They didn't. And the family was adamant. Another thing that I remember reading in the interviews that sticks with me, the family was adamant that she was snatched by a complete stranger. Okay, for anyone that doesn't know and you want to Google search this or image search, it is Mount Pilgrim Road in Camden, Mississippi. There are nothing but trees on Mount. The houses are so spaced out. Bro, she'd have walked all day to make it to the next house. So you think a complete stranger just happened to be driving down that road and was "Oh, damn, there's a kid. Think I'll take that one." That doesn't sound believable at all to me.
Nope.
I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. You're never going to convince me. You're never going to make me believe that she was snatched by a random stranger. The whole thing about her supposedly being in Memphis, that obviously ended up being fraudulent. They checked. It wasn't her. The mom's only quote to the news was, "I just need help. Help on finding her. Whoever has her, just bring her home. That's not your baby. That's my baby." Does that sound like a distraught mama?
Not really.
I'm not paraphrasing. That was an exact quote. That was the quote from the first news broadcast. And this was on national news. I mean, this was everywhere. This wasn't just a here thing. There's an Amber Alert nationwide for 10 years on this child. It's unsolved, and it's still active. Myra would only be, in middle school now, or going into junior high. She'd be going into junior high. She's still a child. But they didn't. I don't think that the parents ever intended for her to come back. I think that that's why they moved. And so when when the sheriff in Madison County was interviewed this last time about it, and he's like, "No, I will tell you now, this case will never be cold to me." It's very personal to him because it's a child. However, he's actively tried to personally reach out to the family and say, "Hey, is there anything else you may have thought of that day?" Because maybe details, maybe you forgot something, or a new detail could have emerged. There's no way to contact them. They don't have a phone number that's listed. If your kid was missing, or let's just say Skylar, not even your kid. What if Skylar was missing? Are you just going to up and disappear and hide your number and hide your address? And then when the news calls, you're like, "Yeah, I want to talk about it."
No.
Could you see Elaine doing that? I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. And if you read through all that, there's no other mention of this other sibling. They don't talk about either of the other siblings. They don't discuss them. They never listed the kids' names, which is fine. I mean, obviously, I don't care if you list the names. But you didn't give any information to be like, well, her older sister was 5 or 6 years old. So where are the other kids now? Are they still, in the care of the parents? Did they ever get custody of their kids back after DHS took them? I have questions. But to me, the most logical ones are I believe she was either run over, like you said, or I never thought about the fact that she could have very well gotten in the house and gotten into something that she shouldn't. And they panicked. But what'd they do with her? That's the part. If you panic and you're disposed of your child and then you call the cops, they bring the canines out. What'd you do with her? My thought, because I'm a morbid person, I guess, this house is condemned, but it sets up off the ground. It's like on a raised foundation. What if she's under the house? The dogs
smelled her.
But the dogs aren't going to hit on it. They're not going to hit on that scent. Her scent's already in the house. I'm not saying. I just feel like maybe they should look in.
Or they wrapped her in an animal fur. The dog would have hit on the animal, not her.
True. That's the thing. Why was this listed as suspicious? I feel like the parents should have been taken in. I think the family should have been questioned more thoroughly, away from the scene. And by all means, I'm not going to say that Madison County did not do their jobs, because they did. And I remember this was on the news for days and days and days. There's not a single reporter in this state that wasn't covering this case. I mean, honestly, I remember it, and I watched it every day. I just don't believe that they were given adequate information. I don't believe they were given truthful or correct information. And I believe because of that, they didn't know what direction to look. That's what I believe. I do not believe that they dropped the ball in the investigation because you can only work with what you have. Which was nothing. This is what she was supposedly wearing. We don't even know if that's what she was really wearing. I mean, maybe she was wearing a onesie. Who nobody knows. And because of the weird actions, like if my child's missing, Facebook, social media is a huge thing now, right? Well, guess what? There is a page for Myra Lewis. It is never updated. Like, there's no updates on it. There's no consistency. I think I checked it not too long ago, when I was looking into this. And I think your mom and I were looking, and I think that the last update was on her 10th birthday or something. And it was it was just it was a happy birthday, but it wasn't. I would be posting, I would literally have, my friends would be blocking me. I would be posting so much about my missing child. You know what I mean? I don't care if it was 2 days, 2 hours, 2 years, 22 years. I would literally post so much about my missing child that you would be like, I got to block this bitch. And if you even just go on and go on Facebook and just type in, help bring Myra Lewis home or whatever. It's there's a couple of pages for her. None of them are monitored. They're not updated. They're not, they did an age progression photo of her for WLBT. It's never been posted. I think it was posted once. I might be lying. I think it was posted one time. But even the age progression, it was they posted it side by side and it was this is what she would look like. The end. It was, I'm writing novels. I'm pleading with you. Bring my baby home. I just feel when you are guilty, whether it was an accident or whether you intentionally did something, as a parent, if you know your child's not coming home, you're going to act like that. If you know for a fact that your child is dead or whatever, of course you can abandon, you can jump ship. But I feel honestly, the way it looks, I would have gotten out of Dodge. Had I done something to my child, I was I didn't find anything. You know what I mean? I stayed a couple months. We're not asking a lot of questions. I've answered all their questions. Well, I would have left if I was guilty. I totally would have jumped ship. I'd have been yeah, I'm going to go. You're going to look guilty either way you go anyways. So why not? It just doesn't make any sense. And we've had, by this point, we've had state officials, we've had federal. There is still a $20,000 reward for any information that leads to, finding her or her remains or, it's just anything. And at this point, I don't even know. I know this is really mean to say. I don't even care about getting closure for the family. You need to give closure to all of us mamas who lost sleep at night, worried about a little girl that obviously we as parents were more worried about than the real parents were. That's what we need. We need somebody to come forward and give us Facebook mamas a little peace of mind and some closure. Because quite frankly, I don't think any of us parents slept for nights. And I know that we all hugged our babies tighter, after watching and experiencing it, seeing it. So as far as the mom goes, I don't really care. I'm a little cold about it, And of course, the questions, how old were her siblings? You had a 1-month-old that was involved, but how was the other one? Once again, what grocery store did mom go to? Where's the video evidence? Was there a receipt? If she's at the store for 2 or 3 hours, she clearly bought something. She didn't walk around there and price check. Where's the receipt for the purchase? Why no forwarding address? No forwarding phone number? Why have you not contacted the authorities unless you already know? why did they dig the backyard? If you know that she's missing and she's been kidnapped, then why did you deem it suspicious and dig the backyard of a family home? What parent? This is another one. If I contacted a parent and said, we're doing a story on your missing child, your baby, I don't know a single parent that wouldn't jump at the chance. These people will blatantly refuse to talk and do an interview on their kid. That's just a little crazy to me. I want to know where the other kids are. I want to know, did they ever get their kids back from DHS or what happened? And I want to know where the kids are now. I want to know if they have any more kids. I haven't been able to find that. Trust me, I've looked, but I want to know. Because I feel like at this point, it's almost like they played a game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And he's like, Myra's got the short straw today. Like, we don't like her. So did you give her away? Did you run her over? Did she get into drugs? Did she drown, in the pond on the property? Like, what happened to this little girl? What happened to her? These are all things that we want to know. And I don't know if we ever will. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I don't know if they're ever going to find any traces of this child. Especially being out in the area, being so rural. I could understand if it happened in a big city, but I don't know if we'll ever find her. I don't know if we'll ever get any answers. But for anybody out there, if you believe that you've ever seen something or you know something or anything of that nature, please, by all means, contact the Madison County Sheriff's Department. There is a $20,000 reward for anything that leads to her. And any tip can help. Anything. Even if it's something super small and you think, oh, it doesn't matter. It may matter. And in the words of Randy Tucker, and he says, I can sit here today and tell you that we were absolutely no closer than we were on day one when we arrived on the scene. That is horrible. That man has put so much into this and nothing. And I'll never understand it for as long as I live. You can also contact Dark Horse Press. They're a local news station, and they've ran Myra's story numerous times. You can contact them at news@darkhorsepressnow.com. I just don't believe there was a kidnapper. I don't. And I don't believe that we're ever going to find this baby alive. I would pray that we do, but I don't have very high hopes considering the way things have played out. A 2-year-old child doesn't just disappear and nobody bats an eye, except for the authorities. They're the only ones that have had interest. And like I said, tonight's show is neither one of us are really ourselves tonight, so you just kind of bear with us. I'm sorry. Normally I'm much more entertaining and we're much more jolly. But it's been a little rough one.
It's been a rough week.
Yeah, it's been a rough week. But Myra is described as Black or African American, black hair, brown eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she was 3 feet 1 inches tall and weighed 27 pounds. If by any chance that you have something, like I said, please contact the Madison County Sheriff's Department. And their number is 601-859-2345. 601-859-2345. If, as a parent, I don't even care about these people, but if indeed they didn't have anything to do with it, every parent needs to know what happened to their child. Unless they already know. And I'm not 100% sure that they don't already know. I can tell you this much. If my 2-year-old disappeared out of my front yard under suspicious circumstances, I guarantee you, I'm fixing to bring hell to somebody. Like, we beating down doors. I'm not going to sit around and pretend like I'm sweet. I'm not going to be sweet. I'm going to fuck you up over my kid. Just like if any of my friends' kids go missing, you can rest assured we ride deep around here. Like, we don't play. I don't know. This case always bothers me. It just really does. As a mom, this case has always bothered me. It makes me like, it just hurts my heart to think, what could that little girl have gone through in the last minutes of either being taken or, and I'm not, and the thing is I cannot say that she wasn't kidnapped because I wasn't there and I don't know. I do know that, like, Elizabeth Smart was held captive for years and she managed to make her way home. And maybe she's out there somewhere. But I just feel like, if I look back at all the kidnapped kids that came up missing and how their families reacted versus Myra and the way the family reacted, I just have a hard time believing that she was a kidnapped child. So I'm not buying the story. I think that there's definitely more to it. And I think that we'll probably never actually know the truth. But if by some chance somebody calls in a tip and we do, then I hope whoever did it, whether it's her family or a complete stranger, I hope that they reap what they sow. And I don't really care if it's through the justice system or at the hands of vigilante justice. If you harm a child, there's zero reason for you to breathe. It's just my thought. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it through one more episode here at Cocktails and Crimes. And I promise next week, maybe life won't be so hectic. Maybe we will not be living in the dark Stone Age and have everything going on. And I would like to say a big, huge thank you to my dear, sweet little angel baby over here. Thank you for coming in and
You're welcome.
trying to float and help, and I appreciate it. And in honor of Miss Cheryl, it was great to actually have you here. And we've done exactly what she would have wanted. Talk. Because, let's be honest, that woman could talk. And hopefully, when we resume next week, we will be bringing you, we have one case that we're super ready to air. We just had to do a lot of digging. And this one's a doozy. So, until next time, Armchair Sleuths and ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nikki, and this is Hannah, and we are here at Cocktails and Crimes.